Recording in progress.
Okay. All right. Welcome to the October Chicago Computer Society Linux SIG meeting. Tonight, I'm going to go over a couple things that have come to light since the last meeting that I forgot about talking about. And then I have a number of articles to go through for the Linux. Now, I'm going to see if I can figure out how to share my screen. That'll be a trick by itself. Okay, now, now, try and do, what the heck is going on there? Okay. Now, I did that. Okay, what I got to do is unshare, share again, go to the desktop. That's really what I wanted in the first place. All right, now, this is Linux Standard Mint 21. I'm on 0.1, even though 0.2 is out. I looked at the update information about going to 21.2. I didn't feel there was enough justification to do it, but I want a refresher for everybody that's here. You go to your start icon down on the task on the panel. In Linux, it's called a panel, not a taskbar. And up in the top here is a search box. And what I'll do is type in SYSTEM space reports. Bring that up. And if I sit here and wait a minute, here we go. This is how you would update, if you want to 21.2 if you're on 21.0 or 21.1 like I am. And you just click this and it'll step you through everything you have to do. When it's all done, you reboot and you're at 21.2. And that's standard Linux Mint. It's been available since I think, if I remember right, August. Might have been even July, I'm not sure. Next, I'm gonna exit out of that one. I'm going to one of my other machines and see if I can lose my marbles on this one. And I'm going to go to the desktop here. And now this here is LMDE, which stands for Linux Mint Debian Edition. Regular Mint relies heavily upon a lot of Ubuntu modules, which they then customize and use the Cinnamon desktop, the XFCE desktop, and I can't think of the other one right now. It's a GNOME 2 version, but it's I forget the name now. My mind is
Cinnamon is derived from GNOME 2.
no, the other one.
Right, no, Cinnamon's the other one.
Yeah.
LXDE was from GNOME 2. XFCE 2.
No.
XFCE 4 is the current XFCE.
Right.
And there's KDE.
No, there is no KDE yet.
not for Mint.
Right. And but there's another desktop, and I can't think of the name of it.
Okay,
That's the GNOME 2 version.
I'll go fetch it for you.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, I start at the button on the panel. Again, the search box at the top, and I do system reports and bring it up. This version of LMDE has no Ubuntu modules. It's all based on Debian Linux distribution, which is very stable. They do not release any updates until they are fervently convinced they are good, stable changes. So, unlike Ubuntu and Mint, which have lots of updates on an ongoing basis, the Debian will have a relatively low number of updates. I don't think I have ever seen more than 8 at a time, but I don't update this that often. Part of the reason I brought it up, this screen that you're seeing is LMDE version 5, which was a major improvement over 4, which is the first version I played with. This here is to be able to, if I come down, system reports, there's language packs, there's installing codecs, and there's setting up restore utilities. Well, it turns out there's also an LMDE version 6 that came out last month. I haven't updated to it yet. LMDE is one of the very few Linux distros still supporting up to date a 32-bit version, where everybody else is on 64-bit, like Windows starting with 11 is strictly 64-bit. Windows 10 still supports both 64 and 32. But when in less than 2 years now, when 10 dies, no longer supported, means it is technically dead. You're going to have no more 32-bit window versions. And I can't remember how far back you'd have to go in the Apple Mac world for a 32-bit OS. It's been 64-bit for a real long time. I mean, you go back into before the current Apple Silicon M series chips, you had the Intel chips, and prior to that was Power CPU or something like that.
Power PC.
Yeah, and those are all 64-bit. So it had to be something prior to the power chip that may have been 32-bit. So you're going way back. So these are two things I wanted to bring up, that system reports in at least the Mint versions is the easiest way of upgrading your system to a new version. My 6, I don't know on the LMDE yet. I haven't even had time to think about it much, to dig into it, what I'm going to have to do to update it. Some Linuxes have an easy path like regular Mint. Some have a draconian way of updating. But in the past, Debian itself had the same upgrade path itself, like Mint has. So that's what I'm expecting to eventually find here in the LMDE 5. to go to LMDE6. Now, does anybody else have any issue with these two things I brought up? Bob Primick raised his hand. Why?
Because I found Mate.
Yes, Mate, that's the name of the other desktop. It's based on GNOME 2. People didn't like it when GNOME 3 came out, and it's currently in GNOME 4. And so they stuck with GNOME 2. They maintain it as an independent body and relabel it from GNOME 2 to Mate. Thank you, Bob.
And it's spelled like it would read mate, but it's Mate. It's French.
Yeah, it's you got an accent mark on the E. That's the headache. At any rate, now, does anybody, before I start dealing with the articles tonight, have any questions, problems, issues, etc., preferably pertaining to Linux? Who are you?
You know me.
No, I don't. Well,
Okay, so I've been dealing with hardware,
who has?
especially USB connected hardware. And first time I ran into it, I needed to give permissions to a user to actually run a USB so it would read and write across the USB to a device, namely another microprocessor. And
Question. When you say
yeah,
you had to give the user permission, now is this another user account you put on besides the original user account?
no. Even the admin at user did not have.
Well, your original user that you set up Linux on, okay, you have to go into root privileges for some operations. You notice this mostly in the command line where you have to do sudo and then your command name and any parameters.
I'm getting to that. In the latest version, you can actually go through the user's control box in the GUI, and you can add that permission
Okay.
to the
Yes.
drop-in.
Yes. If you got a
That's
GUI to a command line application, you do have to give permissions to the GUI to do what it's got to do.
in the user's GUI. When you see if I can. I need my glasses. Just a second. Administration. Administration users and groups. Just a second. Okay, when you in users and groups, am I allowed to share a screen?
Yeah, you can. If I let you.
Okay, it. Let's see if I. Users and groups.
Well, wait a minute. You're not okay. Now you're starting to share.
Okay, so I'm in the users and groups through the settings. And
Right.
there's the user, Big Boss.
Right.
Okay, so I was able to, you notice the groups I'm attached to?
Right.
Okay, so dial out is not a standard group permission.
That's probably true because most people wouldn't know what to do with a dial out.
Okay, so that's the one that I needed to do to connect via USB to the Arduinos.
Okay.
So at this point in time, I'm in the new one. If I go to groups, I can add
Right.
dial out just by pushing the button,
Correct.
which you couldn't do with the older ones.
Okay.
You had to use the command line in the older version.
Right.
In this version, you can use the GUI.
Yes. Most of the time, user groups were maintained primarily through the command line, not only the groups, but also the users. If you wanted to add another user uh, to this list, they would be a true standard user with no administrative privileges unless you make modifications that give them some capability, and you can have a limited administrator capability or give them full rights, but it's rare to do that.
Yeah, so now in the new version of Linux, Mint, you can actually add new users through a GUI and assign groups to them,
Correct.
which is way easier for some of us old folks.
Well,
Some of us people that don't want to go through all of that contortions with the command line.
well, that's true.
Because we've given up on the command line since '95.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of commands that are nice and simple on the command line, but
Yeah.
this is not one of them. This is one of those that you have to put together a long string of commands of different values that are required to properly set up the user. So having the
So
GUI
I just
thrown
wanted to
in,
point that out. I just wanted to point that out to the group that now there is
that's
a
good.
GUI interface to do that.
That's good. And I knew about it, but I didn't think about bringing it up to the group offhand because most of them probably will never need to get into it. Most of them will only have the one user, and when they have to, they do a sudo or su command to get root privilege to execute commands. But outside of that, I think I've only been into the user stuff one time before, and it was before the just as the GUI interface came out, and I
Yeah.
haven't been in there since. And I've never set up a new user beyond the original user we set Linux up with.
So I've run into this over at the school where I've got my other Linux box for the after school program.
Okay.
And then I found the GUI, and now I could actually, if the school admin wants to get in, I can actually create a user for her over there.
Right, and for the students, you'd be making several entries. They would all be standard unless you tinker around with individual users and give them partial administrative rights or full administration rights. And as
All the
students,
students are running Windows 11 boxes right now,
okay,
and they're controlled through the school, and because it's a school that's got to be able to control what access outside of the school they have on those boxes. the school is allowing me to have the Linux so that I can play YouTube videos and stuff along those lines
Okay.
because I'm a trusted adult with them.
I wouldn't.
So I've got the oddball machine and thing, and it just makes showing the kids, things like an Arduino and
All right.
with remote control and stuff like that easier for me to do because I don't have an 11 here.
Right. It's not that draconian. It's just
And they don't want to piss off a volunteer.
it's just a case where I've had 11 since before it was released to the public. I had 10 before it was released to the public. I had 8.0, 8.1, 7, Vista, XP, 2000, Windows NT 4. I skipped Millennia. I had 98 SE, 98, 95, 3.11, 3.1, 3.0, a couple of 2 point something, I can't remember now. And I started off with Windows 1.1.
Windows for work groups.
So I've played
One point.
around with a lot.
Yeah, I go back that far too.
And Mac, I got into Mac originally with Mac OS Lion, and the highest I ever got was High Sierra, and it's obsolete. So is the machine. You can't upgrade it any further. Plus, I have Chromebooks galore, and I've converted some of the Chromebooks to straight Linux because they were obsolete. So hardware is what I play with a lot, and at least when I've got some time, and I've got to be engineering sometime too. I've got some machines I got to work on. All right. Does anybody else have any questions, problems, issues? Everybody, everything's running perfect. Ain't that something?
I do have a question about the Chrome Flex that we talked about on the last meeting.
Yeah.
I downloaded the files and I can get it to work on a couple boxes that I have that happen to be older Dells running Intel chips.
Right.
But I think anything with AMD chips can't get it to load, can't get it to boot up.
What was that last part as to what it was?
With an AMD CPU and even different versions of AMD, it won't load.
I don't know that Flex will run on an AMD chip. Honest to God. And it depends on how old the AMD chip is. If it's a Ryzen chip, it might work. If it's like an Athlon chip or what the heck is that?
Well, I've got a Phenom and I've got some Ryzen.
I got Phonems too, but I haven't tried Flex on Phonem. The machine that I'm running the LMDE on, that's a Phonem processor 2, and the machine I'm on right now is Intel Core 2 quad processor. Both are antiques, somewhere in the neighborhood of 14 years old, something like that. And then I have on the other machine, that's a Intel i5 machine. It runs pretty good. It's only running in 8 gigs, but Linux doesn't have a lot of the needs for a great amount of memory compared to Windows. Windows has so much bloat in it that honestly, these days you got to have 16, and some people, depending on the software they're running, may have to go to 32 gigs, which personally I find ridiculous. But Linux, a lot of times you can do a lot with 4 gig machines, and with Chrome, even the Flex, That Flex, I don't know exactly when they're going to update it, but it's a throwback. Uh, I don't remember if Flex supports Android apps, and regular Chrome boxes or laptops, they have support for Android apps like you might have on an Android phone and Linux apps. So if you were to go to a Linux software store, you could download some, not all, Linux apps, and you might be able to get that Linux app to run on but I don't know Flex is that far yet. Um, if it has any support, it would probably be Android. I doubt it supports Linux apps at this time. So it's a little bit of a throwback, but it's still a functional Chrome OS application. The difference is on a regular Chromebook and Chrome box, it's physically loaded into a firmware on those devices, and you are connecting always to Google, and everything goes through Google. So they know all what you're doing, but that's also how they keep you very secure. Flex, you are essentially doing the same thing, only it works like a Windows OS or a Linux OS loaded onto an old PC. And when you fire it up and you log in to Google, you are going out to their cloud where the actual desktop exists for you. And so you're not only going through Google and they're securing you, but you're using a cloud version of the operating system.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's this gets some people admonished me years ago for the amount of information I put out in the more FYIs, and I said, "What the heck I'm doing is a drop in a bucket for all the news and changes that are going on, even just for a Windows platform," and that's not a joke. Uh, oh, you're checking out Google Plex to see what it supports right now. That's fine. It's just a case where right at the moment you're not as up to date as if you had a Chrome box or a Chromebook. The problem there is, however, uh, Chrome OS was originally supported for 5 years from the date of the manufacture of the machine, which usually wasn't disclosed. And then Google expanded it to 7 years for some of the last 4 or 5 year machines that were created. Now they are extending it to 10 years. Some machines automatically get it that are pretty darn new, and other ones that are a little bit older, you have to do an opt-in to get the additional 3 years of support, but it can be doable. With Flex, I don't think you have an expiration on that. Flex is more like having an unlimited version of some OS running. Who brought up their desktop?
Oh, sorry.
Nice looking desktop.
Ah, Tony, got to unshare.
Yeah. Take off share.
Yeah, you have you clicked on share and you're sharing your tablet's screen up at, well, on a regular PC up at the top you'll see in red stop sharing.
Very good. Outstanding.
Do your playing around offline.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else that somebody else wants to bring up before I get into the articles? Hearing nothing, I will put all of you to sleep. Gotta bring up the browser, and I am going to create a new window, and here, put the URLs, and I'm gonna try and get you out of my hair. Okay. Well, at least that got me most of the way. There we go. Now this is populating all the articles. Uh, Bob Baxter, I know you tend to leave a bit early. If you want, I can email you the handout list of the articles if you want. Come on. For some reason, Mint has been a little bit slow today. All right. Article number 1. Okay. OneDrive is about to get the biggest update of all time. Hey, wait a minute. Did I get the wrong one? I may have gotten the wrong one. Hang on a minute, folks. Yes, I did. Dumb. Oh, rats. I pulled off the wrong copy. Hang on a minute. Sorry about that. Yeah, I pulled the wrong ones by accident. Whoops. My bad. Come on, copy. Um, ooh, that looks like, oh no, it's different. Okay. Hang on a minute. I'm sorry about this, but it's been one of them days. I'll tell you right now. All right. See. Minimize. Come back here. Delete that. I want to paste. And now I want to close all these. Come on. I grabbed the list from my Windows group. That's my problem. Come on. What the heck is going on? Oh boy. I accidentally doubled up. Now it wants to open up 37 tabs. Son of a gun. I'm having fun today. What the heck? you didn't do what I think you did, Tim. But I'll bet you did. Son of a gun. Yeah, here it comes, but boy, it's going to be slow because I doubled it up by accident. Because it's been sluggish. Okay. At least something's coming up. Come on.
Tim, we're stuck on your mail screen.
Oh, yeah. That's okay. You're not missing anything right now.
Okay, just double checking.
Come on.
If you're not careful, you're gonna have to wake me up from a nap.
Yeah. I couldn't get that lucky. Come on. You turkey. Come on. Now, I gotta grab this little sucker. Come on. Boy, is this thing sluggish. Woo! Oh man, nothing's responding right now. I'm gonna stop share if I can. Oh boy. If I didn't swear, I'd be an angel at this point. Okay. Now, can I minimize that? Come on, minimize. Come on. There, I got it minimized on that one. But it ain't minimized on this one. Come on. Go to sleep, you turkey. All right, got that part. Now, I ain't sure what's going to happen right at the moment. You don't see it, but I do. I had a force quit, and I'll have to get back into the share. And of course, the darn browser went down completely. It saturated the whole memory and swap file, and I have a fair size swap file. I want to restore. Okay. Well, I'm getting there. We're getting close. I'm getting a headache, but that's beside the point. Boy, this day's got to end sometime. Okay, first article. Thinking about switching to Linux, 9 things you need to know. Now, the only person here that I'm aware of that may not be on Linux would be Tony Edwards, if he's still around. However, this is an article that you might want to keep in around. And if you know other Windows users that are on 10 that cannot upgrade to 11, may not want to upgrade to 11, you might want to give them this article as a starting point, as another option other than running 10 after end of life, which means after October 2025. So that's what this article is really all about. You have things that you have to know about. It's easier than you think. This is item number one. Now, granted, I get into some of the command line stuff because that's really where the horsepower is at. But there are people on Linux that will run it strictly in a GUI format like Windows. So it can be almost as easy uh, as being on a Windows system for those folks. Next is Linux is not just a kernel. Uh, Basically, they're trying to say that okay, Linux itself is the kernel, but everybody who distributes a Linux kernel in a distro adds their own desktop and other software utilities. Some are very scant. They expect you to add your own software you want only, and versus other ones that may give you everything but the kitchen sink in the way of application software because you don't know what you want to do with Linux because you're probably pretty new. Then you have distributions are just different brands of Linux operating systems. But when you start looking at this list of OSs, which is a drop in the bucket, it's pretty daunting. So which one do you choose? That's one of the first things a person has to try and figure out. But they give you a little bit of help here. Ubuntu is one, and they don't really push it in here yet. But Linux Mint would be another one. Uh, there's Deepin. No, excuse me, not Deepin. Um, you have Pop OS, which isn't too bad. You got the Linux Mint up here. Peppermint Linux is for real old hardware. It's a little bit limited. It was competing with Puppy Linux. MX Linux is a good Linux for beginners. Uh, but if they want help in a group, you got to go with what the group uses. And right now we use Mint. Zorn's another good one. Elementary OS has a lot of characteristics of Chrome OS. Not a joke. Supposedly, PC Linux OS might be a decent one also for newbies. Then there's no such thing. There are so many choices. They finally bring that up. And now they get into the desktops. GNOME, KDE Plasma, Cinema, Mate, Enlightenment, XFCE, LXQT, and its predecessor, LXDE, Bungie, Pantheon, Trinity Desktop, Sugar, and there are quite a number of other ones. and it's kind of a personal preference which one you want. It's easier if you download the distro you've chosen with the desktop you want, but to know what one you want from these, you have to go out on the internet and try and find either pictures or YouTube videos that will show you what a GNOME desktop looks like, what KDE Plasma looks like, Cinnamon looks like, Mate, Enlightenment, XFCE, etc. Because some people like minimal desktops. Some people want more robust desktops. Cinnamon and KDE, and I remember starting off with KDE, very much like Windows environment. Cinnamon is very much like a Windows environment, where almost all the other desktops are something different. It doesn't mean they're good, it doesn't mean they're bad, they're just different. And you have to make a personal choice what one you want to go with. And it's best if you're in a group to go with a desktop that most of the people are using, because that way if you run into problems of how do I change this, how do I do that, etc., it makes it easier for those people in the group you're with to help you out. If you're on a completely different desktop than what they are familiar with, they may not be able to help you figure out your problems and questions. Whoops. Oh, you rotten. I got a tangled cord. There we go. All right. Then it talks a bit about you'll find help everywhere. And by and large, that's very true. There are lots of Linux groups. There's APCUG that supports Linux. There are lots of different user groups that support Linux groups as well, but they may also, like CCS, support other groups other than just Linux itself. And you can usually, like you can go to APCUG, and they have on their site a reference that you can go through all the user groups, and you might be able to discern which ones support Linux. And that's as far as I'm going to go with that. If you guys want me to, and I remember, I'll try next month to show you the APCUG site. By the way, if you have not attended APCUG Linux workshops, there was one just last Wednesday. It's usually on the third Wednesday. They did have a hiatus for August, and they had to extend it in to July because of some scheduling conflicts. I mean, in September for scheduling conflicts. That's a good group, but it starts at 11 o'clock Central Time, and that's not convenient for some people. Like Peter probably could not break away for up to 3 hours from 11 o'clock Central Time till at least 2 in the afternoon Central Time. That would probably be impossible for him. But some of you others, if you got a chance, I suggest you do it. You have to get the CCS form. You fill out 4 fields. You got to spell out the user group that is an APCUG member, like Chicago Computer Society, your first name, your last name, and that's the name you should have on your image when you join the meeting. And the 4th field is your email address you want the link sent to. You have to put in a check mark that you verified the content of the fields. Hit the submit button. That's it. They will, on either the very late night before the meeting, send you an email with a link in it. Usually, though, it's on the morning of the meeting. You will have an email with the link, and you would be able to, just around the time the meeting is supposed to begin, click on the link. They'll let you in. They'll go over some rules and regulations because they run it more like a webinar. And so I'm just letting you know that. But these are groups from all over the United States, Canada, and at least one guy from, usually from Australia, also attends the Linux workshop. He also attends, many of them also attend the other workshops. November the 4th is going to be a Saturday safari. That's at 11 o'clock. I forget exactly what the presentation was going to be. Sorry about that, but you'll get if you get the CCS notices, you should have that information if you want to try and attend. 7 is you won't want for apps. Unlike some of the other platforms that may have a limited number of apps in their app stores, most Linuxes have well over 30,000 applications. Some of them are very old, maybe command line only. Others are more modern. They may be GUI based, or they may be command line with an optional GUI interface. And I've brought up in the past some command line applications that now have a GUI interface. You load in the GUI interface, it finds the application and says, okay, I'm ready to let you do it as a GUI application, like Peter brought up about managing users and groups. Number 8, you'll use your password more often than many of the other OSs, because a lot of things you may want to do require administrator privileges in Linux called root access. And it's a safety item to prevent unauthorized people from doing commands that could trash your whole system. So they figure the administrator should know how to manage their system. They will then require that person to run the program. I'm sure some programs you can dumb down and give them this limited pseudo access to that application, so that a standard extra user would be allowed to run the program, and they're actually running it as an administrator. They just don't know it because you, as the administrator, gave them permission on a per application basis. And that gets a little bit more into things that I don't know this group's ready for, but I'm letting you know about it. The last thing, it's more secure, but not invulnerable. More and more people are looking and trying to try out Linux, so the bad guys are not idiots. For a long time, they didn't mess around with anything but Windows, and that's why they're so strong in the Windows area. But as Apple started recovering quite a bit, they've now become a bigger and bigger target for the bad guys. Now Linux is starting to get ramping up in what these bad guys want to do. So Right now, we're like Mac users used to be. They thought you didn't need an AV program to protect you from bad stuff. Well, that hasn't been true for more than a decade now. And bottom line, Linux has a few AV programs, but right now you may get away without having one on, but it's something you need to know. Clam AV is one of the programs. There may be others out there that I'm not as familiar with, but you may eventually have to put that on. Some people don't run firewalls. I run firewalls. They think their router, it has a firewall, that's all they need. I'm sorry. The bad guys know all the router firewalls and how to get around those firewalls. So every computer you got better have its own firewall running on it to give you another level of protection from intrusion. If you have things like IoT devices, these are smart devices in your home. You need to put them all through either the guest account on your router, or you need to set up a something akin to an access point that all the IoT devices go through that has a working firewall in it to try and protect those devices from being hacked. Because some of those devices have cameras, other ones have microphones or both, and that means bad guys can be eavesdropping on you. If you're one of the people that has nanny cams or security cameras in your house to protect your valuables, especially when you're away, and you forget those cameras are there, and you run around your house in your birthday suit before or after a shower or something like that, so be it. But you're going to be on pornographic websites. I guarantee it. Especially the Russians are real good at doing that. So take it with a grain of salt. You gotta kind of protect yourself. Next up, okay, uh, we have here a major Windows subsystem for Linux update, adding exciting experimental features. Now, what this is, under Windows 10 and 11, you can add in a feature called WSL2. It's a Windows system to Linux interface. It's command line, kind of like what it's showing you there in that picture. Now, in the Microsoft Store, there's 5 or 6 distributions of Linux. Ubuntu is one of them. I don't think Mint is one. And I can't remember all the other ones. I think Pop! OS might be one. You can add those into your system, and you can be running Windows and that Linux distro in a GUI interface at the same time if your system has enough memory. If you have enough horsepower overall in your system, and you have enough SSD disk storage space to hold both OSs and what they do. So it's not that even a Windows 10 person right now that cannot go to Windows 11 on their equipment, in theory, can install WSL2, go to the Microsoft Store, load up one of the 5 or 6 Linux distros to put a GUI desktop to the Linux environment, and you can run both virtually simultaneous only if your hardware is powerful enough to handle both OSs running at the same time. And this is a little different than running Linux in a virtual machine like VirtualBox or VMware, and one other one that comes from the Linux world. It's escaping me right now. My mind is pretty toasted from today. But there are other virtual environments. Proxmox, I think it is another one. That comes from the Linux world. You have another one. It has a good, easy front end called KVM in Linux world. It uses QEMU as the virtual environment, but that's command line only unless you use KVM as a GUI front end. So this gives you what you need to know about how to do some of this if you're inclined to try and extend your Windows 10 with a Linux within 10. Assuming you have, I would say you got to have an i5 processor, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th gen Intel processor, or a Ryzen, I would say 1000 series, 2000 series, 3000 series at minimum to run Windows with this environment. As you can see, the Windows here, one of its requirements is the Hyper-V, which is also a virtual environment. That means you have to have Windows Pro. You cannot have Windows Home. So I'm letting you know that up front. But it gives you some links of how to install Linux WSL2 on 10 or 11. It gives you some other resources as well that you can check out. It's not going to give you all the details. Think of this as a starting point. Now I'm going to close that one, go to the next one. Does anybody have any questions so far? All right, next article. If I can get it to do what I want, when I want, any way I want. Okay, this is the 5 best PDF editors for Linux you should try out. One is called PDF Studio. It looks promising. It's not going to be like Acrobat from Adobe, but it doesn't have the price tag of Acrobat. It gives you some of the characteristics of this program. I'm not going to go into the details. You can click on this link to do a download of it to your system. It'll go in the download folder. Inkscape's another one. Inkscape is popular for quite a number of different things. It will handle PDF files as well, but it also does some image editing that you can do with it as well. So what you might not like is the interface is more like Adobe Photoshop or GIMP. It is ultimately a photo editor first and isn't the most advanced PDF editor, but it does handle it. So if you've already got Inkscape, this may give you enough functionality for PDF for what you want to do, especially if you're just doing reading or limited amount of modifying. Ocular is another one. I didn't know about this one until more recently. I haven't really looked at it, but it runs on Windows and Mac, but somehow it's also available on the Linux. So this is one of them that you can also explore as to what you think uh, of this product and how it well it handles PDF editing. To me, a PDF editor creates, modifies, and can split large PDFs or join together smaller PDFs, kind of like you might do with video editing. This one I hadn't even heard of until I got into this article, SIG or something like that, PD editor. And it's, I think they missed up in the title, the F. It's supposed to be the PDF editor. And this is the desktop. And this gives you an idea of its capabilities. This is all about splitting in this column here, merging PDFs, Office and PDF. They give you a word processor. It's a suite. Word to a PDF converter, uh, PDF to Word, Word to PDF, PDF to Excel. You've got over here PDF editor itself, rotate a PDF if you need to, compress a PDF, crop it, delete PDF pages, PDF to a JPEG image, JPEG image to PDF, etc. And there's this last column of features. It looks promising as the most potential capable. How well it looks and works, you're going to have to experiment just like I would have to. You can visit the editor online, or you can download this to your desktop. So this one can be accessed online or on your desktop. Master PDF editor. I didn't know about this one either until I got into this thing. And this seems slightly limited. Master PDF editor offers more than just the basic functions like create PDF, editing text files, PDF Studio, and Master PDF Editor share many advanced PDF editing features between them. So you'd have to look at this one. It does also include OCR, which means if you have an image with text, that's the hottest thing going right now. A lot of programs in the Windows environment have changed to be able to pluck out the text in an image. It'll copy it into the clipboard, and then you can paste it into a text editor or word processor of your choice. You can create and filling in PDF forms, digital signatures, etc. It sounds like it has good capabilities. So this is something else that some of you might want to look at, even if you just need it for basically a PDF reader function with some editing capability. If any of you try any of those editors out, please speak up in future meetings. Now, here's another article, the best editors for Linux to edit PDF content, extract pages, to merge in other PDF files. So this one is going through some generalities of what they think about a PDF editor and what it might let you do or not do. And then they get into their choice of tools. LibreOffice Draw. I find it a little archaic, somewhat limiting, but you can get, you can both read a PDF that if that's all you want to do, and you can do some changes. Uh, the more you try and do in the PDF, you're going to run into problems unless they've improved it dramatically over the last time I tried to do quite a bit beyond signatures. I was actually trying to modify some PDFs, and I got a certain amount accomplished. Then you had to get out of it, go back into it to do your next modifications. So this is something that you'll have to experiment with. But it does give you an ability to edit the text in a file. You might have limitations unless they finally overcame that. Add text and images to the file, manipulate the existing content, support creating PDF files, and cross-platform, because LibreOffice works on Windows and Mac OS also. So if you use any LibreOffice in any of the other environments, you can go cross-platform without much difficulty. I do it myself. Next one they think of is their opinion of Ocular that I brought up from the previous article. It goes a little bit more in how to install it. It's a cross-platform application also, and the source is through KDE's website. So maybe if you use Ocular, you may be pulling in KDE modules required to support the application. I give you that as a word of warning. So this is the only one that told me this. Okay, that's another reason why it's in this list of articles. Scribus is another one, and it goes. It considers it's a simple one. Highlight text content, add text boxes and other elements, move the existing text of a PDF file to reposition it or delete it out of an existing PDF file. Scribus isn't exactly an editor, but it offers necessary features to highlight content if you're trying to pass a PDF file on to other people and you're trying to point out things to them through highlighting, adding content of your own notes, your verbiage, add a few more things, even possibly adding images in of your own, things like that. So it's kind of limited, but a lot of people don't need a full-featured PDF editor. You got to figure out what you need. And there's a suggestion that there is a flat pack for it. Again, this article is the only one that tells you some of these extra odds and ends. I'm not even going to attempt to, well, Quappa, I think, is the way this is enunciated. QOPPA. It's a studio. It's not considered free and open software. So there may be a price tag with it. This is something you got to look at for yourself and decide what to do, but it's a cross-platform also. But it gets into more things like adding sticky notes, text boxes, freehand annotations, hyperlinks. You can add in your own URLs, headers and footers, which usually is reserved for word processors, not usually something like a PDF editor. Supports additional features such as text search, touch mode for laptops, comparing two PDF side by side, rulers and grids. It sounds impressive, but as long as it's free, I don't mind looking at this one here. I just had never heard of this one ever until I read this article. Master PDF again, it's not a FOSS type program. FOSS is for open source software. So you're probably buying, in both cases, an the equivalent of an executable. You may not be able to get the source code and look at the source code and modify it, is what it amounts to when they say it's not FOSS. And as you can see, it's got a lot of capabilities in it as well. So you can look at that. Here's one called External Plus Plus. It gives you, you can see graphically, these are not just plain PDF text. You got highlighting, underlining, different colors that you can change things to. So you can really point out a whole lot of different kind of things to your intended audience that you're sharing the document with. Circling that, doing a freehand circling of this phrase here, as their example shows. It supports layering. This is what you usually find in a photo editing program. Photo editors like GIMP and Ink use layering. So how do I want to put it? Usually you have your base image, background color, etc. And then you have transparent layers, which you put other pieces of content in, including pictures, and you build it up by stacking layers on top of layers on top of layers, the same way Photoshop works, if you're at all familiar with Photoshop. And I'm not. I have played with GIMP recently. I had to. And I sure ain't any master at it. Best editors for Linux to merge, split, and extract PDF files. You got PDF Mix Tool. So this one's pretty limited as to what it's going to give you in PDF support. But you can merge, rotate, split, extract, delete, and add pages, edit layout of pages. I don't think you're going to, it doesn't sound like you're going to be able to create brand new PDFs. But you can take an existing one and slice and dice, I guess is the best phrase I can think of right now, and make it the way you want to present to whoever you're going to give a copy of that to see what you think is the most important from the original PDF. Or you might be putting several PDFs together to make a unique document. PDF SAM. This one splits, merges, splits by bookmarks, rotates, extracts, alternate mix, split by size. I didn't get into the details of this. I'll let you, if it sounds like something you want. It's also cross-platform. PDF Arranger. This one sounds interesting because sometimes you may have one or more PDF files in your possession, and you want to take bits and pieces from the original and create your own unique document that you may pass on to others. This is my take on this tool. It may make the process a little simpler than some of the editors previously mentioned. So I think that's got some unique possibilities that might be worth looking into. Again, if any of you guys any of the past meetings, any software you guys explore in more depth than what I can cover usually for all the applications I'm going through to inform you about, you can give a brief presentation on and let the rest of us know what you think about that individual product. Just let me know in advance so that I can make sure that it's in the announcement and invite. Also, I'd like to know a little bit about what you're going to present. PDF chain. This one here, I haven't quite totally figured out. You can rotate pages, you can add and delete pages, compress the PDF, but it has a graphical user interface for something called a PDF toolkit, which I assume means it is a command line tool originally that somebody created PDF chain as a GUI interface to. And some of these kinds of programs where they were command line, somebody creates a GUI interface, then modifies the whole thing and makes it work on Windows. And some may also make them work on Mac OS. That's how these things get cross-platform. This one's not, apparently. And it's bits and pieces of it apparently are in Synaptics Package Manager. Just remember, if you bring up Semantic Package Manager, click the refresh button so that it checks for what the current library entries are, so that you're not getting outdated software put on your system. It'll bring in only what's current. Then you have PDF Slicer. This one seems like it's similar to number 9, but it rotates, merges pages, deletes pages, and rotates pages. They just repeat that part. Seems pretty limited. It's a flat pack. And that is the end of that one. Anybody got any questions or clarifications? All right, I'll move on to the next. And wow, it's already 8:34. 6 best Linux PDF editors you should use. I put in several of these because they each give you different perspective as to why they think certain programs should be considered for what your needs might be. LibreOffice Draw again. You got Inkscape again. Only Office Document is now included as a possibility. You have Scribus again, Ocular again, and the last one is External. So the newest one here is number 3. Only Office Document, apparently besides a word processor, can handle a PDF document and allow you to edit it as well. Kind of like LibreOffice will let you do, and also even Microsoft Office will allow you to do now. So I'm going to get out of that one. Ooh. Come on. What the heck is going on here? This one is not wanting to cooperate. And at the moment, I don't know the story. Hang loose for a minute. I gotta see if I can do some more magic. Okay. Why this one's at the bottom instead of at the top, I don't know. This is another one on editors. They're looking here at LibreOffice, Ocular, External, Scribus, PDF Editor, Coupa, Master. So I'm going to leave that one. I'm not going to go into depth on it. And I'm going to back over, get out of that document. The next one is, these are PDF converters. If you don't feel like you really need a editor, these are some suggested tools to convert PDF to other formats for like a word processor, like LibreOffice, Microsoft Office, etc., etc. So these are some of the conversion kits that are out there that may be of interest to a few of you that don't want to go deep into editing. It gives you the ability, sometimes I've had where I have a PDF document, I want some or all of the PDF article, but I want to put it into say a word processor document, and I can do whatever I want to in that and distribute it that way, or put it back out as a brand new PDF file with a different name on it. So I'll leave you to that one as well. Setting up Linux on your Chromebook. This is very brief. This will give you a starting point of how to take a Chromebook and eventually turn it into a Linux laptop, is what it amounts to. There's more here than what meets the eye, but it could be a starting point for any of you that come across Linux notebook or Chromebook, Chromebox. If you ever go to yard sales, garage sales, etc., a lot of times you'll find old units available because either people didn't like them, didn't understand the limitations, and if it didn't do something they wanted to do, they wanted to use either Windows or Mac OS, a full version of those programs. You can pick them up for next to nothing, and then if it's truly outdated and there are no more updates to the Chrome OS, you can convert it to a Linux box, put a fairly lightweight version of Linux on it, and it works just fine. I've done it. Bob's done one himself, Bob Premick, that is. So it's something to think about. Then we have down here how to update and upgrade Linux on your Chromebook. This goes into a little more detail. And you have Chrome OS desktop, a desktop Linux. Points to consider. This is this person's personal ideas, because Chrome OS is been created from Gen 2 Linux. So is Chrome OS a Linux desktop, is what this person is trying to argue. And I'll let you read through this. I'm not going to go over it in any depth. He has some interesting ideas, and in some ways, I kind of agree with him. It would be that Chrome OS desktop is yet another Linux desktop to choose from, and it puts all the apps in and you can put them on the desktop, or you can put them on its version of the panel. And you can also have a button off to the side that allows you to select ones that you don't have on the desktop and or on the panel at the bottom, and run those programs from there. It's kind of like the start button in both Windows, Mac OS, and regular Linux distributions. All right, Chrome OS a better Linux than Linux, so you can forget about Windows. Well, it's an interesting supposition. I kind of like where this guy's going, but again, it gets into what can you do with Chrome OS now that you can add Android apps and Linux apps in a supported Chrome OS device. Uh, there's a lot you can do without going the old school and uh, putting in a piece of software uh, that allows you to install a Linux distro and run it in parallel with Chrome OS, like WSL2 on Windows with a Linux distro from the Microsoft Store. So this is another one that you can look at. It doesn't apply to everybody because not everybody has ever had a Chrome OS. This is kind of what it looks like. You have the sys tray over here. You have the apps on the panel. This button over here on the left side brings up the whole library of installed apps. It has a Play Store that's you can either put an icon here on the panel or access the Play Store from here, and anything that's in the Play Store you can add as a Android and or Chrome type application, the Chrome OS application. And I didn't ever dig in to the Linux apps, but you have to be able to go out to the Linux libraries to probably pull in those items. This here is the Google Play Store where you'd probably get most of your apps. They did put an icon here on the panel from the full list of installed applications. User interface shock, less is more. And this is where you get into minimalist desktops on a lot of Linux distros. They give you only the bare bones, and you add in your own programs that you like using, no extra garbage that you probably do not want and have to uninstall. So it's an interesting little bit of a read. Here's the Android style launcher. This is what all your installed applications, and there's usually on the side here dots. The one with a white dot is showing you up to I think it's 16 installed applications, and then you may have one or more white rings with a black center. If you click on those, they may display additional apps on another page that are also installed. So it's a paging feature is on the right side to be able to access all the apps that are installed on Chrome OS. Keyboard shock, yeah, you don't have cap locks here like we're used to on a Windows system. This is activate the search feature. And but there are hacks to change that to a caps lock if you really want to do it that way, and you can access search in other means, keyboard shortcuts for starters. Um Chrome OS as the United Nations software, progressive web apps, Linux, and even some Windows applications. You can now, on a current Chrome OS, run Microsoft Office. In case you should have an interest. So there's a lot more you can do with Chrome OS. I think Chrome OS came out in 2012 if I remember right. So is it surprising that over the course of more than a decade that it has been evolving? What OS hasn't been evolving when you consider all the OSs out there? Any OS that doesn't evolve is obsolete, and most people have no idea what it is. MINIX is one of those that I know of. You might say that that was kind of like a miniature Unix operating system, and I don't know if anybody runs that sucker. So this gives you more meat if you're interested in looking at Chrome OS. Windows, Mac OS, Chrome OS, or Linux. Which operating system is best? You and anybody that is in trouble with Windows 10 not going to 11 might want to really look at this article, because this gives you an idea to give to the person what OS is best suited for what they want to do. If they don't know what they want to do, the first question is, why do you have a computer? And that's not a joke. So if you got a computer, which one of these do you want to play with? And it at least starts the ball rolling of what you might want to take into consideration, because Windows is heavy. Mac is a little lighter, but not much. Linux can be much lighter, even in KDE Plasma, which is one of the heavy ones, all the way down to some that are so light that they only need 42 megabytes of memory to run in. And you put it on a flash drive, you load up the OS to run it from the flash drive, it puts it all in memory, and you do everything in 42 megabytes. Good luck on finding the machine that's got that little. So that's some more meat for a few of you, especially if you know people that are wondering what they're going to do after Windows 10 reaches end of life. Google wants to transform your old PC or Mac into a Chromebook. And this is another article, Peter, that gets into Flex. So this one you might interest you, since you're dabbling more with it, because I haven't had time to do much. Recommended videos for you, even. Gee whiz. So, but this gets a little bit more deeper, and resources for delving a little deeper into Chrome OS Flex, limitations and things like that. It's a lighter operating system, definitely. It's from the Kickstart world, which are where donors can donate money for the developers to create something. I've only played with a few Kickstarter type situations. Never got anything for them, but I didn't give them much money to begin with, so I don't care. These are tons of resources and things that different people are going to be somewhat interested in. Here's another one, Tom's Hardware, basically the same thing on OS Flex. I'm not going to go into depth. Uh, Google OS Flex can turn your old laptop into a Chromebook. And again, it gets into more details. It originated with a company called Neverware. And I guess Google bought them out and changed it to Chrome OS Flex. And this is an evolving product that's not up to date with Chrome OS that is supported by Google directly on a Chromebook or a Chrome box. We're just about out of time. What is Chrome OS? Here's everything you need to know. So that'll give you a little bit more. Take this with a grain of salt. This is a company trying to promote what they can do for you with Chrome OS. Take it only for the information they are providing in the article. Oh, man. Chrome OS and who's it for? This should be read by all of you because you might be interested in using Chrome OS. Chromebooks, way back for a lot of the naysayers that wouldn't touch Chrome OS with a 10-foot pole because it wouldn't do a lot of things they want to do the way they want to do them. Well, some of them said, well, Chrome OS is more of a secondary computer to your primary computer. In a sense, Tony Edwards left. He was on a tablet. A tablet and Chrome OS have a lot in common. So if you're familiar with and use a tablet as a secondary device, especially when you're browsing the web for different things, that's what you can do with Chrome OS as well. Oops. Okay. New Chrome OS, what you need to know is another article that some of you should read. Los Angeles Times, Chromebooks get a boost from Google. Will a longer life, you little son of a gun. I forgot about this. Anyway, longer lifespan help users. Like I said, originally it was 5 years like Mac OS. They've extended it to 7, and now they are giving it automatically in some instances, and they are giving you an opt-in to add 3 additional years for 10 years of support like Windows does. So I'll let you guys play with that one. There's a way around that subscription thing. I'm not going to mess with it right now. I did this originally on another computer and got around that pop-up. Our 25 top Chromebook tips in case you have or get into a Chromebook. This may be a value to get more value out of a Chromebook. And it might have also apply to Chrome OS Flex. 3 ways of permanently and securely delete files and directories in Linux. And guarantee you one of them is going to be command line. So accept it. Some of these may one day get a GUI wrapper to be able to run the command line, but some of these are not too bad. You're not typing in that much. So you're, in many cases, you have to do a sudo command, the apt-get install to install something, and then you will run different things from the command line. It doesn't look draconian to me, but it gives you tools to permanently and securely delete your files that you consider too sensitive for prying eyes, especially if your device falls into somebody's hands through light fingers. Okay, how to delete your Google Chrome incognito browsing history. Some people do like to use incognito. This is for Chrome, but general principles apply to all browsers. They give you some kind of the equivalent of incognito mode. Normally, when you leave incognito mode, it gets rid of most of your stuff, but not everything. It keeps some things hidden. This is telling you where to find some of that hidden stuff and be able to delete it to cover your tracks if that's what you're using incognito for. So that's what some people do, especially in homes where there are multiple people using the computer. Uh, Here's why you can consider Linux as a content creator. I don't know how many of you would be interested in it. It is false news and content. Uh, you get like Instagram, TikTok, and stuff like that. That's usually what they're talking about, but it can be something that you put out as short tips, tricks, etc., or reviews of products out on YouTube. You create your own channel on YouTube and you would make these posts out there and create your content and become a pain in the butt to some people. But at least you're sharing what you know and what you think, whether some agree or disagree with you or not. And okay, this one here looks a little nasty, but it's not bad. Um, the 8 best Linux apps for content creators. You click on this read on button and it gets you the full article. I left this as is because they're putting some other information down here that you might want to look at and uh, look into yourself, and other sites that they suggest. Here's 9 to 5, some various articles. 9 to 5 does a very good job as well. Uh, 10 best free photo editors for Linux. So you've got GIMP. Boy, that's rough, but what I had to do with these cats that I'm dealing with, I needed images. I didn't want the background. I didn't want to use the online AI programs that do a great job, but to get the full image, and when I say full image, the same resolution back, you have to pay a fee. Otherwise, they'll give you a low grade snapshot of what it would look like without the background. And you can then apply your own background to the images in GIMP or other photo editors. Krita photo editor comes from the KDE world. Penta photo editor. Digicam photo editor. show photo, photo editor, raw therapy photo editor. I got to read more on that. The therapy part intrigues me. I may need therapy. Photo double X photo editor, Inkscape photo editor, Light Zone photo editor, and Photivo photo editor, or however they now say that one. So these are some photo editors. Some of you may do some photography, at least at times. I don't do much, but suddenly with 8 cats that I'm trying to foster parent, so to speak, I needed pictures. I got 6. Number 7 has been elusive. Number 8 didn't even know he existed for 2.5 months, and I still don't have a picture of him yet. 13 photo image editors again out of this article. I'm rushing through these some because it's about 9 o'clock somewhere in the world. Here's another article on photo editors. And you got to remember, these people are giving their view and opinion of the content. How to enable, disable your Chromebook's touchscreen. A lot of Chromebooks do have touchscreens, but not all. Some people don't like touchscreen. That's why that article is in there. Easy keyboard shortcuts to disable Chromebook touchscreen again. So this gives you the ability to, if you don't like touchscreen or you don't like it all the time, it may be a case where you're doing certain things and touchscreen is interfering with what you want to do. So you turn off the touchscreen feature. When you're done doing whatever that is that you're doing, you might turn touchscreen back on for other normal operations. So touchscreen has its good points, bad points. It depends on what you're doing. Understand your hands, you're using your finger, and your skin contains oil that kind of messes up the screen. So from time to time, you're going to have to properly clean that screen. And I say properly, if you don't know how, you got to look up how to properly clean a screen without causing a short circuit or other damage to the device. I think that's my last one. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. How to use any browser on a Chromebook. This is something new too. It used to be you could only use Chrome browser, and then there was a kludge for how to use Firefox. And I thought, no, thank you. I used Firefox some, but I didn't like how it ran. That's worth looking into because now you can shoehorn in the other ones because Chrome OS, if you've got a running version that's updated, you can use the Android browser apps or the Linux apps as well. So you can use other browsers because of these additions to the base Chrome OS. All right, what do we got? Lightweight distros. If you're dealing with old hardware like Jeff was using Chrome OS Flex, here's some lightweight versions that may work. Just understand, most of the versions, if you need 32-bit, are old, obsolete versions. There aren't more than a dozen at most current up-to-date 32-bit versions. LMDE is one, but depending on the horsepower of that 32-bit computer, how much memory it has, will be a big factor on how well LMDE 32-bit runs. I'm giving you that warning in advance. And best lightweight distros, this is another one. We got to be getting near the end of my life here somewhere. Top 10 32-bit distros. Now, my opinion is there aren't 32-bit current up-to-date versions. Some of these may be old versions. A lot of times you see Mint 32-bit version, but the last version of 32-bit Mint, I think, was Mint version 14 or earlier. 12, 13, or 14 was the last regular Mint 32-bit version. So keep this kind of thing in mind. You got to check out when was the distro last updated. If it isn't in 2023 or late 2022, I would avoid it because you may have vulnerabilities in there you don't know about that bad things can happen to. 15 distros you can rely on for your ancient 32-bit computer. Yes, 32-bit computers are ancient. They're very limited. A lot of them had no more than 2 gigabyte memory support. There are even some with 1 gigabyte or 640 megabytes top, and some, if you go back far enough, don't even get out more than a couple hundred megabytes. Puppy Linux and Mint are Peppermint. Peppermint sounds like it's still updated. Puppy, I'm not sure if it's updated anymore. It used to be. I don't know. That's another one for 32-bit support. Okay, I'm done with the main presentation. Now I got to figure out how I'm going to get this thing shut down. Okay, now I can do one of two things. I can distribute through the chat my document file if I can get the correct one to come up. I hope this is the one. At least that's my prayer. Now I will tell you if you're not aware of it, the way chat works in Linux and works in Windows are very different usually. Sometimes in Linux I cannot copy paste. This time it let me. So I put out there, if you go to the chat, the last entry is your document. You can click on the little green button and download a copy to your system. I would also go down and off to the side where it says everyone, off to the far right side is 3 little horizontal dots. If you click that, the top entry is save the chat in case you want to save the chat information that Bob Premick put in. I don't have to worry about it. I get it as the host.
Just a little footnote, even though it says September, it's really the October document.
Yeah, I'll double check that because maybe
The header inside says September, but it's the correct topics for October.
Oh,
And I got a warning that
no.
was going to overwrite a file that last month they had on my computer.
Yeah, I think I forgot to change the label from September to October because I've got Linuxes here, a pair of them. One is last month and one is this month, but it says September on the outside, but I've got a late September date. The other one has an earlier date.
Yeah, I'm going to rename it before I formally save it because we've already got one that said September.
Yeah, okay, that makes good sense to me.
Just a warning to everybody else.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Anybody have any questions or issues about tonight's meeting content? I'm not sure how November is going to go. November is going to be a weird month, especially for me, for one simplistic reason is that the 21st is the South Suburban one. Normally on the 21st, if I've got a working car, would go out to my cousins and visit them over the holiday. And the 29th, I think it is the Linux group, which means I got to try and get back on Monday the 28th. And if weather's bad, try and get in on the 29th. Usually I get back here mid to late afternoon, and hopefully I'm not cried out and I can do the meeting from home.
Tim,
Go ahead.
Tim, you're off one day. Monday is the
I've lost more
27th.
than one day, trust me.
Tuesday is the 28th, and 29th is Wednesday in November.
28th is a Monday, and the 29th is
No,
Tuesday.
it isn't. You got the wrong year in your calendar.
No, it didn't move it over. Excuse me.
29th is a Tuesday. October
Thank-
24th. Whoop. That's
Yeah,
No,
24th.
you're looking
you
for
did the same
November
thing
for
I
what
did.
he's talking about.
Yeah, right.
November, let's see now. 1, 2, 3 is the 18th. Okay, for the south side, that's okay. And probably Ed Keatings will get on the 20th. But the 25th is November for the Linux SIG.
There we go.
No,
Pardon?
it's not.
27th.
That's the
Yeah, if you hit the correct arrow on the month as displayed in Mint,
Wait a minute. I changed
27th
the
is a
year.
Monday, Tuesday is the
Hang on.
28th.
You're correct. I accidentally changed the year on this calendar function. 28th is a Tuesday. That's the Linux SIG meeting. And that
Yeah.
one, I hope I would be back from my cousins if I go out there at all. The 21st is the South Suburban one.
Okay.
But Ed Keating's meeting will be on the 16th because that's the third Thursday. In November, well, in some months, Ed Keating follows South Suburban in the third week. And in some months, he precedes the South Suburban group. So you got to take your poison any way you can get it.
Okay.
So these are some of the odds and ends. I'm telling you, I'm fried, guys. I don't know how much longer I can even stay up, period. So I'm going to be, unless somebody's got something else here, I'll probably end the meeting.
I'll say aloha from here.
Okay, hearing nothing, I will